Welcome back, Overwatchers. This is it, the grand finals of Australian Open Division Season 3 2018 playoffs. Thank you all for tuning in for the Broadcast.gg coverage. Is the final set of the night or the day, depending on where you are in Australia. It's the afternoon or evening, so it's been a long haul for them. I am Rapture here again with Lemon and Panda, bringing you this matchup between STK and Exsto Gaming. Panda and Lemon, are you ready for this one?
Oh yeah, we're ready.
I have been waiting for about an hour for this match. So I mean,
An
it's
hour,
really not.
same,
Yeah,
same.
yeah, it's really not too bad. But I am super stoked for this match.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been certainly quite the path to pro for both of these teams. STK coming from the winners bracket, Exto Gaming coming from the losers bracket, just defeating Sandbaggers in losers finals. About both of these teams had defeated Sandbaggers to get to this point. Panda for STK, they're coming in from winners. They have the map advantage. They might be the favorites in this one. How has STK gotten here?
STK themselves have been on a series of a rampage all the way through their winners finals and making their way known by taking out a multitude of members. I mean, for a team to walk into the bracket at the 10th seed and make it this far and staying tried and true inside that winner's side of life is no easy feat. I mean, they've taken out a multitude of targets along the way. They have actually faced Exo Gaming the first time in the second round of playoffs Rapture to see them again here in the grand finals. That's got to be feeling good. The momentum has been on their side all the way through, and I can only imagine it to be taking it that much further.
Mhm.
I'll agree and disagree. They have momentum from being in the winners bracket, but they just came off of a game 5 win. So yeah, it's still a win, but game 5 getting kind of close there versus Sandbaggers in the winners final. But we also saw them yesterday where I'm going to talk a bit about what we might expect from STK, where they love silly comps
Mhm.
because actually this team is composed of 5 DPS players and 1 healer. So they actually have to flex off of their roles and force out compositions like these, like the ghost comp, the 303, or maybe a more normal 222. You think they'll play normally, but yesterday we actually saw them run something like a triple DPS with an off tank diva. They play like really off meta stuff. So I'm wondering how Exto is going to actually react to sort of the silly comps that SDK will bring out.
Mhm. And that's the thing. We just saw Exto playing in that losers final match. So Panda, we just saw them. How do you think that's going to translate into the finals for Exto?
They need to bring anything in it all and they can throw everything in the kitchen sink out at the side of STK. Let's not forget that STK coming from the winner's side of life, they actually have one map victory going into these grand finals Rapture. So
Mhm.
with Exo Gaming, what got them this far, I would definitely say not only by QVN, his wonderful Sombra play, fantastic hit scan play as well. But it's their tank line that really stuck out to me. Just keeping to everybody like glue, whether they need to be in the back line for Peel or a very aggressive dive targets that Joy Boy seems to always find. Like Lemon had mentioned, Sandbaggers were able to bring SDK to a map 5, but Exo was able just to wipe them clean in a 3-0 map set
Mhm.
2 times in the series so far, once in the regulars and then just now in the finals or in the previous matchup as well,
Yeah,
leading into the finals.
we just saw an amazing performance from Exto, and you pointed out one of the key players we should watch out for, QVN, on this Widow, or maybe Chad likes to call him Kevin. We've been told it's QVN, but the person to
QV.
challenge him on this Widowmaker has to be Matsi from STK. And now comparing apples to apples, that'll be a big duel that we have to watch out for, where QVN was really taking those Widow duels against, I think it was Rune from the side of Sandbaggers in their previous match. So that's going to be a duel we'll have to watch out for.
Yeah, definitely a lot to watch going into this. And of course, our first map will be Control. Lijiang Tower looks like it's going to be the pick. I think it's time, real quick. I need some predictions for this one here. Lemon and Panda, how do you think this is going to go?
I could honestly see it being in Exo's favor. I mean, though STK did beat Exo in the early rounds of the playoffs here, Rapture, I can still see Exo riding the momentum, coming through their tank play of Joy Boy, and riding it into the sunset of the victory.
Mhm.
It's a tough one. The predictions, I mean, STK already having that one map advantage, kind of, they only have to win 3, but Exto coming off that momentum, I'm going to give Exto the win.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot on the line for these teams that could go either way. And let's get into it. STK Exo Gaming. This is Australian Open Division Season 3 playoffs, 2018 Grand Finals. It's all on the marbles, on the line here between these two teams, Lemon and Panda. Let's get into Lijiang Tower.
Let's get it, Panda. Control Center will be our first point of Lijiang Exto versus STK, where obviously we're expecting some goats, some 303. Maybe we'll see something different, but looks like that's what they're hovering right now.
Well, this is when Exo Gaming in the previous matchup that we just saw against Sandbaggers. This is literally where they came out there on the 3-3 composition. It was the forget to play that was so prominent on this map that really gave their adversaries a run for their money. Once you have one on your side, it's a certain amount of sustainability that your tanks actually have. I had mentioned on the desk leading into this match that it's all about the tank play for Exo Gaming. So the more that Joy Boy stays alive to find the front line and work his way to the back line of StK is going to be the way that Control Center needs to go for Exto Gaming.
Some spicy last-minute swaps. Matzi now onto the Zenyatta. The main difference you'll have to see is Zhao Bao on the Ana, Matzi onto the Zenyatta. Panda, what kind of a difference are we seeing here?
In the heat of the moment, we're going to see is a double defensive hero, Cassette and Matzi, going to come out here on Lucio and Zenyatta, but it's not enough healing. You can already see QVN with the Brigitte, the Shield Bash, and the Stun just being right there in the face, able to deal with Lex immediately.
Well, that's already a quick fight win for Exto. Yes, the anti-nades from Zhao Bao allowing to deny the resources from STK, but STK having that Transcendence or having the Discord Orb will help to amplify their damage.
Amplifying the damage is all you basically need to do, and when you have the double defensive ultimate in between Lucio and Zenyatta, you need to set up a certain amount of kill potential behind the Discord Orb. Another swap coming through, so this is going to be the True Goats format here with the Moira Matzi taking the swap onto that. Xiao Bao on this Ana is going to be trying to shut down the healing with the Biotic Grenade. Earthshatter coming through from Lex gets absolutely stuffed.
Oh, Lex has to be careful, charging right on in, but this is going to be both teams working on the position of the middle map, but it's Joy Boy with the nano. He's just, SW going forward, really trying to pressure back STK, holding that point in their hand, and they have Nectar's Graviton. It's still not a losable or a winnable fight yet. As you see STK re-engaging, but they get caught in the middle of a Graviton. Exto going for the follow-up, but the kills are not falling through quite yet. Exto hitting a really nice anti-nade to deny some of the resources, but now that that's lingered away, Matzi brings out the Coalescence, and that just melts through Exto.
And Matzi with a really good disengage there before the Graviton came out. There was actually 5 key members of the side of STK in the middle of that grab, but there was no follow-through. Unfortunate to see that QVN did die before the Graviton came out from Nectar, so it was a minor misplay from the Zarya player of Exto Gaming, and it was the capitalization that STK took in from their Moira player that was just out of the way to land so much sustainability and healing on to their team. But look at the re-entry coming through. Joyboy finds a charge on his Zap so early on.
Yeah, Joy Boy just shatters. The only is going to find a Lucio. It does catch Cassette off guard. So you can see Exto moving forward now with these picks, taking out the supports. This should be a flip here for Exto. STK, I mean, Presenter's not going to want to use this grab without the rest of his team being there. So that's a flip for Exto.
Look for Exo, and it's exactly what they need. Thunder Kitty using the amp and the aura of Lucio to the benefit, always making sure that he has 2 tanks around him to speed boost up and around. They don't have the necessary tank ultimates to be holding this close to the door, so Exo, they need to be careful. They could be walking into Presenter's Graviton Surge, so STK is more or less baiting them just for that, and it's against the nub!
And it's huge! Nectar, though, just used his, so it's a double grab, and he's self-destruct from STK to ward them off. But what a huge nade from Zhao Bao! Now Exto can chase STK all the way back to the spawn doors. Exto up to 80%. We're in last fight territory.
The Graviton Surge came through from Presenter, but that's the difference in between having an Ana in your 3-3 composition versus a Moira. The Biotic Grenade comes through, and it shuts down the healing, and it finds a kill on top of that. Zhao Bao, with proper positioning and good tactics, using the cooldowns of Ana very effectively. Rallies being used across the board, so there's equal amounts of armor. Lex with a wild charge to the point is just trying to find any and all, and finds 3 with an Earth Shatter.
Great lane pressure from the Coalescence from Matzi. This push Exto all the way back. The flip is there for STK, but 98% for Exto. STK need to play a perfect control center game if they want to take this map.
Taking this map is going to be difficult here, and holding this point as well for the side of STK is going to be even more difficult. Again, these teams are making the inopportune moment to hold this door when they don't have the tank ultimates to do so. So Nectar with the Graviton Surge this time around is just punishing, looking forward, gaining charge, trying to hold down that Q as quick as possible.
He just got it now with the nano boost out to Joy Boy. They're going forward. The Graviton trapping 3. The nano, or the anti-nade from Zhao Bao to finish everybody off. STK getting pushed back. Only 4 remaining. They throw a desperate grab. It only catches some of Exto, but it's not enough to stop the push. We're down to the last desperation members of STK to stall this one out. Lex is back, looking for some fire, not able to touch the point before it goes into Exto's favor, 100-71.
Some questions coming out here for STK. If they felt like they could have made a bigger impact on Ana. Only time will tell as we move into our second stage here of Lijiang Tower. But Exto Gaming making a clear and showcasing of how strong Ana could be in this current composition of 3-3 versus another one when you can just shut down the spacing that Brigitte looks to take against the enemy Reinhardt. It really disables the enemy team trying to move forward onto the point. Even though they were able to convincingly take a team fight victory, they didn't have any more resources for StK to hold the point, and Exto just walked back in. As we're moving over to Gardens, though, Lemon, again, Fair's Playground, Nectar are going to be hanging out in the sky, but Merciless, nope, just a speed boost out of the spawn doors for Xiaobao, going to go ahead and fly with Nectar in the sky. They're still sticking on this 3-3 composition, double defensive ultimate again for StK.
And that for StK, and now with Farah Somber from Exto, when we saw the power of Nectar and his barrages back on Horizon Lunar Colony for the last match. Nice anti-nade though for StK. They don't even disengage off of that. That does not scare them. But the opening 2 picks for Exto will allow them to start pressuring the point, but they have to be very careful. StK running that Brigitte will give some of these dive tanks from Exto a bit of trouble.
Exo coming out here with burst damage, StK coming out here with a lack of burst healing, and they're already down their main source of it. Zapso on this Brigitte needs to stay alive as long as possible just to sustain as many tanks. But take a look at the supports. Cassette and Matsy making a mockery of this enemy team. It's only for so long. Oh, Matsy!
Oh, what is going on? This is a fight that should have been ended ages ago. Exo starting with the opening 2 picks.
You can't stop Matsy.
Oh
my god!
You just can't. That's young Jonak right there.
He's just pushing so hard forward, and he's just going to force Nectar to pull out this barrage so early on, just being like, hey, supports, stop beating up my team. He's going to go and find 2, and now it surely should be the side of Exo claiming this point. They have the man advantage, but in a world like this, Lemon, you almost never know.
And without a capture at this point, no one was really benefiting from stalling all this time. And honestly, one of these teams should have said, unwinnable and reset at this point. And in that case, it was StK going for the reset. Exto with the first cap.
With the first cap is going to give them soon enough. QVN on the Sombra showed us how good the EMP can be placed by Joyboy jumping in there as well. They're going to have a Valkyrie to play underneath. Nectar building up that barrage very quickly. You can see how strong a Pharah can be against these moving compositions. That is 3-3.
QVN just got that EMP though, and he's behind. He's already putting some shots into Matsi. Lands that EMP, but he trades his life with it. Self-destruct could be big from Pliss, and it's really not enough. It's actually Nectar's barrage that really gets the ball rolling for them. But with now 2 down, Joyboy has to use the Primal Rage to sort of sustain Exto on this point. They want to maximize the percentage they can have, prevent the flip from StK.
Xiaobao with the Mercy, able to bring Nectar back to life, righting the wrongs of doing the barrage against the car of Ben. It's going to be the side of Exo. They're just holding strong. Matsy will take care of Nectar in the sky with a nice orb of destruction to the face of the Pharah. Now just waiting for Xiaobao to find the right sight lines and Thunder Kitty to land the burst heals to sustain themselves on the point. You can see the exhausting resources coming out of StK. They're just looking for anything.
Would have liked that nano to hit the Joy Boy, but even the DMAC goes through from Pliss. Exo's tanks getting ripped apart. Lex never letting go of his hammer. StK get the retake, and without really needing much ultimates besides the rally, now they'll be working with defending with a Graviton and Transcendence. Tons for StK to use to defend here.
It's going to be hard here for the side of Exo Gaming to find their way back into the point, but take a look at Nectar. He's been hanging out in the sky, very uncontested unless Matsy feels the need to lob Orbs of Destruction his way, and it's almost very difficult to deal with. Ben can't always be in overdrive mode with the defense matrix. Graviton Surge is going to come through from the center, but it actually got eaten.
I came to the side of the building actually, and it didn't. I think they were trying to catch Nectar, but it did not connect to anything. StK, a huge waste of a big ultimate like that. The Sound Barrier though, to keep them sustained as they lose percenter. Matsy's gonna have that Transcendence if they need it, but they're able to win this fight out just with some pure vanilla Overwatch.
And that's really what it always comes down to. Sometimes you can't always land the biggest Graviton Surges in the world, and you just want to swap over to McCree because you're like, hey, I'm tired of this Pharah just going dismantling my backline. I mean, that's one of the biggest problems that a lot of teams run into when there is a Pharah that is just devastating these rockets back-to-back like Nectar is. Not having the burst heals is very devastating for your tanks just to try to play around. So Presenter on this McCree is a very good pick, not only for QVN on the Sombra to catch them in his tracks, but to shoot the Pharah out of the sky with that Peacekeeper.
Oh, QVN, he has that EMPs coming right behind the tanks, but self-destruct right right there. The EMP lands. Gets in, it gets Lex out of this fight. Transcendence activated from StK to keep themselves sustained, but the anti-nade from Thunder Kitty denies all of that as Exsto pull up their aggression pants up. They try to go forward, but they actually get punished. Mainly Xiaobao and the rest of the supports taking care of Exsto. Although it was a great setup, it did not have enough to take back the point.
Using the high noon right there, might be wanting to hold this into his pocket. His Joyboy will be nearing this Primal Rage, but we're up to 95%, so if anybody can touch the point, it's up to Joyboy here. It's going to be very difficult just to do so. 98% Lemon, and it's going to be hard. Joyboy getting the nano boost. He doesn't jump the point because it's QVN who is already de-stealth on there.
Oh, he gets stunned, but he has the Primal, and you do not want to mess with a Nano Primal. He goes right onto the point, ready to toss up StK. It's pretty equal numbers onto the point. Nectar being down without that barrage is going to be something Exto need to flip this over. Desperation swaps coming in. Mattia now onto the Tracer. Equal numbers still. StK need this win if they want to take or go to the third map of Lijiang. Exto need to win this fight to keep it going. Oh, the Deadeye catches Nectar in the middle of his barrage. What a performance from Presenter.
Presenter needed these heroics to come through, getting that Deadeye so quickly, just building it off of Plizz's mech and able to use it to claim the life of Baby Diva and to Pharah before Nectar was able to get through the barrage. And it's going to be a 1-1 series as we're moving into Night Market here, Lemon, and we are seeing the signs of life from StK.
Oh, they forced it. Going into map 3, going to Night Market. I don't know where this is going to go. Exto really made it a one-sided thing on Control Center, then StK really flexing onto Gardens. I wonder what kind of strategies we are going to see.
Well, I can tell you this much, as the spacing does not give us the light of day of press enter Omega, but that's going to be the side for StK with the heads-up swaps, compositions on the flip, being able to deal with Nectar in the sky very comfortably. But they're going to go ahead and swap back over to a true GOATS format with the Moira and the Lucio. It's going to be difficult again. We've seen how good Thunder Kitty is on this Ana with the biotic grenades, sleep darts, and everything else in between that her kit offers. Will it be the deciding factor again?
Deciding factor also on the shoulders of Nectar, Sphera, and QVN Sombra, something they ran back onto Gardens. They didn't win, but they'll try and make it happen here on the Night Market.
Night Market definitely gives way and heavily favored for the team that doesn't have a Pharah in the sky once they're already on the point. However, the speed boost coming through for Exto Gaming just put them in a very opportune positioning. The Joyboy is starting to get caught out. He got shield bashed, and he just needs to dive to safety.
StK just building a fortress on this point. Could see Nectar trying to find angles around the point, but Lex has been throwing out these fire strikes, making it difficult for Nectar to go unnoticed. And now with Thunder Kitty going down, a lot of healing gone, but you still got Xiaobao's Mercy, and it doesn't look like Exto want to engage on that, especially with that DMAC of Plizz just now.
Yeah, and that's going to be exactly the fact of why this 3-3 composition is just so difficult to dislodge here on Night Market. You'll be seeing Nectar building up these barrages very quickly, but it's not until QVN pops out of this EMP is going to be a deciding factor for Exto to make a contention onto the point. Nectar will be holding onto this barrage. He's going to be fishing for an opening, but just needs to steer clear and be ready. Speaking of being ready, there's a Brigitte in the backline.
You see Nectar onto the point. Now he gets that barrage kill onto Lex, but Exto playing so far apart. There's some members in the middle. Now finally they've converged onto the point, getting that DMAC onto Ben, but they trade out their own tank in the way. Exto not in a winnable position at all. Losing your tanks like that will be another reset for them, although they gain themselves 12%.
12%, or that 12% is still better than no percent. You definitely want to show your worth here on the map, but they still have yet to fully deal with Zapso on this Brigitte, really just running amok into the enemy team of Exto. But StK really playing strong and true together. That's what the Ghost comp is best for. Stick with your healers, stick with the tanks, and somebody's going to get run over momentarily. Graviton Surge coming through from Press Enter.
And I think Nectar just, oh no, he just swapped to, I was going to say 0% Zarya, grab, but StK taking yet another fight, making it look easy. Exto just can't get the books together to get a good push going, but maybe we'll see something with this EMP coming up.
Yeah, the EMP needs to be very heroic from QVN. Might as well be the last team fight scenario. We know that exactly what Brigitte can bring to the table. It's elongated team fight. So if these ultimates get stuffed, but Exo just hangs around for too long, it's going to be hard to dislodge. If the EMP comes through, self-destruct soon to follow.
They just sound barred and then got EMP'd. All the ults are in Exto's favor, even with the self-destruct to finish off. But there's really, Exto need to go to the point here. They can't mess around. It's 97, 98% to StK. This is not the start they wanted. They wanted to have a bigger impact with that EMP, but they managed to convert onto the point and flip it.
And if you're on the side of STK, you're definitely happy with giving up that point contention in that final moment's time because you're going to have a certain series of ultimates come around with Zapsos on the rally. There's going to be a lot of armor going over to the side of Ben and press enter to build up another Graviton Surge. They get the sound barrier out, but they get knocked into the ground.
Well, they got the rally to keep them going. It is Forgive, all
True.
forgotten. Nectar does throw in the grab, and the finish is there. Pliss will trade the mech, though. But Exto just trying to stay alive this is the last map of Lijiang, and they will extend themselves to 40% plus.
40% plus, and that's definitely stronger than where they probably thought they would end up being. By way of proper sound barriers, Zhao Bao has been getting so much healing off there here on the Lucio by way of the Biotic Grenades and Thunder Kitty, always landing on to where Joy Boy is playing around. He's already 40% shy to another Earth Shatter, has been a very defining player for
Lex,
the side of Exto.
Lex charging in with so little health. Gets anti-nated there from Thunder Kitty. And that's a huge loss for StK. They'll have to probably give this fight up. Exto will be up to 65%, but StK got a lot of ultimates to turn this around.
And this is kind of the proverbial ult bank that we always see and know and love, whether it be Assault or a multitude of maps. Night Market is nothing to be excluded here. It's very hard to dislodge 3 tanks from this point. I cannot say it enough. But Press Enter's going to have another Graviton Surge. Matzi building up this Coalescence could be the deciding factor through it.
They just ignore. Oh, Lex almost got booped off the map. Have to be careful. They go towards the point. They're going to try and build this fortress here. You got the Coalescence. You got the grab. So many ultimates being dropped. QVN canceling all of it with the EMP. Self-destructs to make the space equal numbers. Probably 4 versus 3 now in favor of Exto. Joy Boy being down with a Shatter. No really any tanks besides Pliss to push into this point. It's in STK's favor. They're out of ults. They have to throw in a hand for desperation. But it's StK in the positional advantage. How Exo, oh my god, huge shatter from Joy Boy, but I don't think there's enough people to follow up.
There was definitely more than enough to follow up there, Lemon, as he's able to get the heals and speed from Zhao Bao here momentarily. He's about to have another sound barrier, but they still can't deal with Zap, so you need burst damage to get through the Brigitte and all the healing, and there's nobody sustaining on the point any longer. STK will take the first victory here on Lijiang.
What a turnaround, starting off 0-1 in Lijiang and then winning the next 2 maps to take the first map. And StK had actually dropped this map in this previous match, so it was kind of a toss-up of who was going to take it. StK relying on the GOATs, Exo really flexing, going through the pages of their strategy book, bringing out the Far, bringing out the Sombra, changing things up. And I'm very excited for the series, Panda.
And don't worry about adjusting your screens at home, ladies and gentlemen. It is actually 2-0 in STK's favor. They did gain a advantage coming into winners finals, being on the winner's side of life. So now from the losers bracket and everything else included, that now Exto Gaming really finds their backs against the wall. They need to start the comeback now.
Speaking of comeback, I'd love to see our host Rapture come back and tell us what he saw as the viewer for this Lijiang Tower map. What did you think?
Honestly, that was a really solid map there. Could have gone either way. I love the reverse sweep coming out from STK.
Yeah,
That's what
right?
I really got to focus on right there. What changed for STK for them to go from being down 1-0 to bring it back?
I personally saw SDK kind of jumping back and forth between their supports, which ones they wanted to take. But it seemed to be once they understood the proper targets that they needed to be discorded on for Exo Gaming, or the amount of healing and orb placement coming from the side of Matzi seemed to be the defining factor. By way of Zapso always being in the right place at the right time to shield bash Joy Boy, they're really finding the key targets and answering. Shut down the tank line of Exo Gaming, win the map.
I thought that STK, this tankier composition that they're running works way better on Night Market. They're able to just build that fortress, build that castle, have a ultimate defense, and Exto running the Sombra and Pharah. Pharah's not able to play inside of the point as much, and you got the EMPs from QVN that were not followed up as much. At least sometimes it was, hence why they won a couple fights there. But base compositionally speaking, STK had the upper hand on Night Market.
Now we're going to our second map here. It is going to be Watchpoint Gibraltar. And again, remember, STK, they are up 2-0. So this is already an opportunity for them to extend this lead even further. But now that we're getting to the map already, we got to get back to the action. So Lemon and Panda, how about y'all take it away?
Well, STK are up 2-0, but it is a best of 7. They have to win a few more maps. And Exto, we still believe in them. It's only been one map. Let's get them warmed up. I know they had a bit of a break of 1 hour getting their food. And I think somebody from STK went to the gym. So you know they're fired up for this match.
Oh yeah, you gotta be feeling the veins pumping and the juices flowing. I mean, and at the end of the day, this is Overwatch, and when you are just working so cohesively with your team, as we've been seeing from SDK all the way through the entirety of this series, it is just a spectacle to see here, Lemon. And when they're able to use double defensive ultimates in between a Lucio and a Zenyatta and still effectively hold their own against a 3-3 composition and against the dive that Joy Boy has been throwing at them with Exto, it has truly been amazing to watch. Such high level Overwatch coming out from both these teams, but SCK just seemed to have the upper hand.
And speaking of Gibraltar, Exto, this is Exto's choice of map. And the last time we saw them play this, I believe they full held, or well, not full held, but they 3-1 Sandbaggers. So this is definitely a map that I favor Exto on, of course, due to their choice, but their previous performance on it.
I would definitely think that Exo is going to have a easier time here on Watchpoint Gibraltar. To your point, Lemon, the reason why they were able to take Sandbaggers to the moon here on Watchpoint Gibraltar, is because they're really good at dive. They're dive eccentric as a team. Joy Boy's Winston is actually very fun to watch. Pliz is also a very prolific diva as well. And when you put that all together, you get Nectar on this Genji, who we saw tons of Dragon Blades coming out and tons of opportunities for QVN on this Widowmaker to really make a strong showcasing. It's their attack, however, and they're looking for any opening as it's a very aggressive hold so far from the defending team.
Xiao Bao just got slept, and then Thunder Kitty just got dealt with. So this might kind of slow Exto's push a little bit. But to your point, Nectar was a huge carry factor before with his Genji Blades. QVN, I was about to shout you out, buddy, but then you got shut down there. But QVN's Widowmaker really popped off in their last match on Gibraltar. Once Exto get their push going, get their setup going, this might look a little bit better.
It's kind of an homage to a Rialto kind of type style. It's something we haven't seen on Watchpoint Gibraltar in quite some time. Probably something you see more in your ranked matches at home, ladies and gentlemen. Is that you see this very aggressive hold from the defending team doesn't typically pan out all too well. They do gain a certain amount of ult charge, but it's the only way to give themselves another defensive hold here. But the way that they're playing the 1-2-3 composition with Zapso on the soldier is very nice to watch. But Lex going in too far gets punished for his cause.
Yeah, STK just tried to speed boost as the defensive team all the way to Exto's spawn. You're not getting a ton of value from that besides stalling the attack. Now when you have press enter and Lex going down, Exto have a free fight, and that's a free blade going right in. Nectar, though, not getting the finishing blow onto that member that escaped him. Would have liked to convert that into way bigger of a blade, but Exto will be able to move the cart past car wash.
You can see their money's worth coming out here from STK. The payload is just getting through this car wash area, and there's going to be another contest coming through here momentarily. Lex on this Reinhardt 30% shy to his Earthshatter is going to be setting up Zapso on the Soldier 76. Tac Visor here to come out momentarily with the Nano Boost, but losing Ben to Nectar, that is not a good place to be.
Oh, he's going to let that Tac Visor unleash with the Nano Boost to help him out. Already taken out Xiao Bao will be the end of the fight, but hey, he even dragged out the self-destruct from Pliz, so that's a double win.
Double win and a double whammy scenario coming out. Earthshatter's coming through from Lex, just trying to keep his team together. And Zapso, the damage was already dealt with. Everybody was softened up from the Tactical Visor and the Nano Boost to follow as well. And just the cleanup coming through from Soldier 76. I always enjoy saying that Soldier 76 has never truly fallen out of the meta. It's kind of like Tracer in that manner, but instead of being in your backline, he then shoots you and whittles you down from very far. He can take a copious amounts of positioning here on Watchpoint Gibraltar, and very fun to watch Zapso proving that right.
And now he's going to be onto this high ground where Soldier's usually set up, but he actually always loves to drop down, provide that healing station for his tanks and his backline. Very much of a team player. And looks like they'll keep pressuring Exto back, but they're sending up Nectar with the blade. But he's going to be going right into with the back, but he gets pinned to another dimension. Lex actually surviving that one, so Exto really relying on that ultimate. We're down to the last minute. Doesn't look like a ton of momentum is being built, but the Valkyrie and the pick onto press enter and Kazet going down, so Exto turning something sour into something sweet.
Just getting a little bit of a sweet tooth here momentarily as the payload will be opened up here for the side of Exo. They finally find the right keys to get the doors turning, whether it was Nectar's Dragon Blade to force everybody into an unwanted position. Regardless of the fact, we're moving into the hangar phase for Exo Gaming with a series of ultimates, including a whip out headshot from QV on the Zapso. Good staggers in the split spawn.
Yeah, staggers, and that'll allow them to get the high ground and start pressuring the doorways that STK are going to be coming out of. Press enter has that grab, but kind of difficult to get to that high ground, and actually this will be a hard point to use it up until the cart gets at the end, where maybe it'll be a more ground battle. Exto still styling on that high ground, waiting for STK to engage.
Just waiting ever so slightly. QVN waiting for the proper moment to pop out this infrared sight is going to help out Nectar and Joy Boy, plus Pliz find their dives more coherently. Lex up on the high ground just with this Reinhardt. They have a 5 stack of ultimates to play with. The only one they're missing is Matsy's Transcendence, but when you have this many ultimates to play with, you can take the ultimate or the cart back whenever you so please. Earthshatter from Lex, though, into a Diva, doesn't even find it.
That's a whiff, but Exo will be continuing to just get their position onto the cart. STK, as I said, waiting until the cart gets to a stationary or a ground level position to win these fights, and even then, only using a grab shatter, STK will take that.
Yeah, and then we definitely take those if you're on the defending side of STK, only using 2 tank ultimates for sure. And they're going to have another nano visor setting up here between Zapso and Cassette. 1 minute and 55 seconds left on the clock for a few more meters of point B capture. Side of Exto Gaming, they're going to have a Dragon Blade to be boosted up by Thunder Kitty's Nano Boost. Seems to be the play. They just need to be careful to not be shut down like Nectar was last time.
And they'll need to go and be aggressive on that, not wait for Matsy's Transcendence, and there it goes, Nano Boost! Nectar taking care of Cassette, taking care of Zapso, going in. Unfortunately, Exto losing their main healer. Not the best start, but they'll still pressure back STK, who are now stuck into a corner, and they're staggering these kills mainly onto Matsy, so it's only Lex left. He's taken care of, and press enter going back to spawn.
Going all the way back to that proverbial drawing board, but the tactical visor getting boosted up here from Zap, so just trying to find anything whatsoever. Self-destruct coming through just to claim more space. Pills finds press enter. That is very unfortunate to deal with. Now it's just a stall and stagger with the Transcendence from Matsy.
Oh, you got what a stall in defense from Matsy. You got the Transcendence, you had a self-destruct to build all that room, but Exto have not given up yet. Joyboy with the Primal gets stopped from the shatter. Oh my goodness. He's still gonna be going in. He's still surviving. Exto want to push this payload, and there's only a few members from STK to stop them. It's chaos all over. Lex with the 2K, but it's Joyboy who matches that 2K as well. Panda, we're down to the last 30 seconds. Exto need to finish this fight.
Big biotic grenade to shut down the healing in between Ben and Lex, but the Earthshatter comes through and Zapso is right there to clean up. Jack Morrison is alive here in Season 12, ladies and gentlemen. Do not adjust your screens. Nectar coming in, however, will find a good amount of dash resets. Is going to get stuffed. QVN on the Widowmaker, however, is finally dealt with, and now you can see it's going to be Exto Gaming just straggling and struggling to find one body to get onto the point for overtime.
They did get a nice pick onto Cassette there with QVN, but it's not really the time to engage. They have to wait for everybody to be up. Now, attack visor from the high ground from Zapso, already taking care of Zalbao on that Lucio, but the defense have lost their main tank. Now you got a blade from Press Enter coming in. He's already taken care of one of the supports. All supports missing from Exto. Nectar gonna match that blade with a 3K. Is this what Exto needed? But it's it. Matsy pops off and wins STK that fight that will stop this payload short of point B.
Matsy just, my God, and the Orbs of Destruction, the boots to the face, dealing with the nano blade at the end of it. That was insane Zenyatta play right there from this man. STK is definitely smart in having this man in their back line. Any damage that doesn't get picked up by their Soldier 76 player of Zapso ends up getting picked up by Orbs of Destruction of Matsy, and that is just absolutely insanity. You can't let a Zenyatta get through on that much damage. You got to be able to deal with it. The Transcendence was out of the way. You almost would have thought that Nectar would have gone for the Zenyatta first, but he was just hidden and hanging out behind the payload. Let's not forget that it was Zenyatta that taught Genji all of these tricks. For all we know, Zenyatta's a ninja.
Oh my God, Matsy, I mean, he's also a crazy Widowmaker, and the fact that he can just pop off on Zenyatta like that, it was like a 2v1, 2v2 on the payload. Exto, like, could have won that. STK could have won that, but it was Matsy with the finish. That was amazing. Now STK, all they have to do is get it to point B, and they will be up 3-0 of this best of 7. It's getting down to the wire, Panda.
Getting down to the wire here. STK really having to show their grit here. If they are able to convincingly take Gibraltar, they are pushing their luck here against the side of Exto Gaming, and Exto Gaming is going to wish that they can more or less be a sponge and absorb some of said luck, because they are just not really having any any convincing team fight victories here. It always comes down to the nitty gritty in those last few fights, almost like this is South America or Chinese contenders, if you will. Lemon just fighting all the way until the bitter end, just dealing with the staggers and the scragglers as much as humanly possible. But it's just proper coordination from ultimates coming up from StK, and that just seems to be a misplay that they are missing from Exto Gaming, and they are absolutely getting dismantled by proper transcendences, good tank positioning, and even better widow shots.
And also a big fan of Press Enters Genji that he pulled out the last second and got a blade, and it was huge. So let's see what StK can do on their attack. They bring out the dive and the double sniper. This is something we haven't seen in a pretty long time with the whole tanks being really popular in this meta. But QVN still wins that widow battle, and I don't think, it could be resurrected. So we'll see.
It could be resurrected, but is it in an opportune sightline? I believe that QVN's probably looking after that. The solo healer composition, if you will, with Zapso on the Brigitte is very weak in the sense that everybody needs to try to be around Lex. This is a very wonky composition as Matsi, who is the reflex support coming out here on the Widowmaker, a double sniper composition, if you will, is having such a hard time to find into QVN, who does find the 2.
Wow, that was, 3 picks in this fight? Are you kidding me? This guy is popping off.
Man,
and at least there's the one resurrect going through. I was waiting for something to happen there, but gotta be careful. StK now, they got that card through Car Wash. Dragon Strike on that high ground to dislodge him. Actually traps Exto in that room up there. Mainly that's where the supports are hiding out, but the offense have lost Cassette. They've lost their tanks. Not sure how much progress will be done here for StK.
QVN, my man, just making the Widowmaker almost look easy, just clicking on them heads, forehead. You just want to make it look even easier for the chat sitting at home. Just how you end up becoming a better Widowmaker, everybody. Just get good. You just got to get good. Yeah, everybody wants to be like QVN. Get that infrared sight going for the next team fight as well. Is going to help out Joy Boy, and not to mention Nectar, who has this Dragon Blade ready, and there's no defensive ultimate. Remember, a solo healing composition with just Mercy from Cassette of StK almost seems like they're kind of just messing around in the sense, because this Dragon Blade could be setting up a defensive snowball.
Yeah, Nano Blade, and you got a Valkyrie. Lots of sustainability from this defense. StK, I mean, working towards another Dragon Strike. They got Primal. They got their own Valkyrie. It's going to be an ultimate fiesta. Nectar going towards the back with his own blade, trying to get Matzi. Gets too far away, but finishes off. Press Enter, and a few more members. Tanks missing now from the offense. They will have to reset. And this is the type of confidence, Panda, that we had for Exto on this map. QVN and Nectar really showing their stuff.
It's definitely their map to lose here, Lemon. They are so dive-eccentric the way that they play around, just setting up QVN with their Widowmaker, just calling out of a hat there. Joy Boy and Pliz just seem to be everywhere at the same time, and by doing so, it just keeps Thunder Kitty and Zalbao just pressureless, just able to do whatever they please.
Dragon Strike right through the top. They've taken care of Zalbao. This is StK's chance now to move on through, starting the rally. They'll have the self-destruct, but actually that's from the defense, so StK still have theirs. They have to use the Primal now to build all that room. This could get the payload home with Exto still present. Self-destruct clears out, takes out 2. Exto still fighting with everything they can. All they want to do is shave time off of the clock down to the last minute and 15. Press Enter has another Dragon Strike. This guy's also doing fantastic.
It's just a lot of damage, and that's enough to keep the healing that is being lacklustered over to the attacking team of StK almost non-existent. And when you're just able to create so much space and do so much damage as a Hanzo, Cassette on this Mercy can free fly in between a multitude of targets and get a lot of heals off. Going to be hanging out down on the cart as it just rolls through. Both infrared sets coming through here momentarily, but no more ultimates on the side for the defensive team. Just going to get a couple pair of dragons to their face instead.
Yeah, Dragon Strike right through the left door stops the reinforcements from coming in, so the supports are kind of backtracking there. Exto now trying to solidify themselves at point B. They have to use that Resurrect to bring QVN back in, but they're setting up Nectar's Blade for the upcoming fight. They've gotten a few picks, so StK should just reset here, especially with Lex out of position, but looks like they're actually going to go in. Nectar spots the tanks out of position, so this is him going in towards the back line, gets Matzi, spots out Cassette, gonna get that finish in just about a second, stalling that one out.
Yeah, finally getting the deal with the Mercy, and that was the go button. Whew, man, it's actually getting late over here. Exto is actually throwing at them, and that is what they needed. They needed to claim the payload right where it was, because it's only a halfway more through point B here, Lemon, and it's going to be a 3-0 up for the side of StK. But Exto now with this Nano is going to probably go over to Joy Boy underneath the Valkyrie. They need to convincingly hold themselves onto this payload.
And Reaper from Press Enter. I thought it was Zapso that was a silly hero, but it's gonna be him. It's gonna be the Reaper coming out, going against Joy Boy's Primal. A lot of health to chunk through, but the self-destruct from Ben actually starts clearing out the backline of Exto. Both supports now taken out from either team, so STK still pushing this payload. Where is Exto? They need to get back. They need to set up Nectar's Blade, who goes in towards the back, but he's dealing with a Diva. Is that where you really want to take that Blade? But he does finish off that off tank. Now going forward, Exto start to solidify themselves, but it's a Death Blossom from Press Enter. They've taken out the last remaining member of Exto and just barely finishing out Gibraltar. Panda, we got a 3-0 game.
They were holding themselves grim there. A couple late swaps coming through. Press enter on that Reaper was something definitely to take note of. Play of the game going over to Nectar. His Genji was absolutely fantastic to watch. At some points, it almost seemed flawless, but at different moments that it seemed like it needed some different work on the inside of his mechanics. But this Nano Blade in particular was absolutely huge. They actually almost captured the point here to go into point C. They just came up ever so short by way of the players of STK looking great.
The score is 3-0, but this has been a very close two maps that we've seen so far. I mean, both sort of point B pushes coming down to the overtime. SDK just getting the extra meters to get themselves a Gibraltar win, where I had a lot of faith in Exto. QVN and Nectar working so well together, but it was almost like the counter dives and who was really messing up each other's supports that gave them the upper hand in the later stages of the fights.
Yeah, absolutely. Though I gotta mention our lovely and beautiful host Rapture probably had a couple different things to notice and to see from that map included. How do you feel about it, bud?
Well, one thing I actually wanted to comment on that's more of on a, I guess, a micro scale instead of macro. Towards the end there, Lex, who spent a lot of time harassing the backline, making it hard for the Ana to hold high ground, the Genji to recontest, those squishy characters to be safe in the background, and then Lex ended up doing a little bit of capping, which forced the Genji over to the payload, and ended up killing him. So shoutouts to Lex for some solid play there. And I think it was those kind of individual things from STK that eventually snowball things from individually. They're able to stack things up, even against Exto Gaming with Nectar and QVN popping off in many different situations. It just wasn't enough. And STK now setting themselves up for a potential 4-0. Right now, I'm struggling to see Exto Gaming. They're letting it slip, but I feel like they have the tools, just they haven't applied them yet.
Very
It's
difficult to find their headway into this map pool, especially against a big dog like STK. They stayed in the winners bracket for a reason. Am I right, Lemon?
Oh yeah, this is. I mean, STK. Can they pull off the flawless run through Open Division playoffs, or will XL X almost said XL2, but XO can they get that redemption win? You know, getting taken out. This was the team that put them into losers, and I know XO want this more than anything to put STK into the losers chair.
Mhm. Yeah, that was right now. Like this would be crazy for Exto Gaming. This could probably put their name in the map. If they're able to reverse sweep entirely in a best of 7 against SDK, who seems to be a clear favorite to win these playoffs. Right now, how do you think SDK could possibly drop this?
Especially for Temple of Anubis, this is where we see a lot of Sombras come to life, especially for Point B. It's always been a very Sombra eccentric map. If QVN can somehow find the hacks and build up fast EMPs to shut down the 3-3 composition that STK keeps rolling, I think that that would be Exto's Gaming, their intro into a victory here.
And now it is time for the next map, Temple of Anubis. It's a 3-0 lead for STK, Australian Open Division Season 3 2018 playoffs. Can their opponents take it against them and make a reverse sweep? It would be absolutely nuts for Exo Game to be able to do that. Let's see if it'll happen on Temple of Anubis. Panda and Lemon Kiwi, let's find out.
All right, possibly our final map, Panda. I mean, SDK looking so good. Exto looking just as good, though. It's only been 2 maps, but it is 3-0 for SDK. Potentially the final map for Exto to pull off some kind of redemption run, or SDK to close out the finals right here.
Match point here for Exo Gaming. They have to be able to find themselves within the map of Anubis because they don't want to go out like this. They don't want to lose 4-0 to a team of STK's caliber, though that's really is not saying all too much because STK is playing some prolific and high-level Overwatch coming out here. I mean, press enter, making Reaper a showcasing in that final moment as well in Gibraltar. That was really fun to watch. Anything to stop Joyboy on this Reinhardt and Winston combination that this main tank of Exo likes to play is definitely helping out the DPS duo of the side of STK.
I've been really liking Press Enter's choice of heroes. He brought out that Reaper, like
Yeah.
you said, at the end of Gibraltar, and that Death Blossom kind of won STK at the end. So excited to see what he's going to be showing here. And they paired it up with the Sombra. Can you imagine like an EMP Death Blossom? There's nothing to Matrix, no shield to stop you, just pure damage in form of bullets coming in on your team. I'm excited for that kind of combination.
As a support main, I have nightmares of being EMP'd in Death Blossom. I mean,
Oh
we
God.
we always make the joke as a broadcast group that that is the deadly breakdance that Reaper brings to the table. I mean, we all remember what happens when you nano boost that poor gentleman as well. It just becomes that much more deadly. And then my nightmare gets even worse when I get booped or someone boops the Reaper and they're just like, "Don't worry, I'm saving you," and then he boops him right into me. I mean, that's quite literally how that feels when I think about an EMP and a Death Blossom in that fashion. But it's really cool to watch, though. I mean, we were talking earlier about all the particle effects that can come through in Overwatch, and that's definitely a fun one for sure.
What's maybe unfun is a disconnect from Exto's side currently. That's why we are in pause and you're seeing our beautiful faces again. But to keep in mind that the loser of each map gets to pick the next map. So Exto having picking Temple of Anubis, trying to pick the map that they're best at, something that maybe STK are weaker at. So this map definitely favoring the dive compositions where Exto showing back on Lijiang that they were a pretty prolific dive team. And I'm excited to see if QVN is going to bring back that Widowmaker because that would be very strong on the attack or even attack or defense, especially on point A.
Those dive eccentric map play styles that we know Exo Gaming really like to play could come into favor for point B of Gibraltar, or Anubis rather. We just need to see them unlock it after getting point A as well, which we know is a very tank heavy driven map as well. Press enter coming out here on the defense for STK is probably looking to do that. We know that there are a decent amount of tank busters in the realm of Overwatch. Reaper is definitely one of them to shut down Nectar on to the Zarya with any charge that they could possibly walk away from could be devastating for a Graviton Surge and time alone. But you can see here for Exo, they're gonna be coming out here on a true 3-3 composition. Ana and Brigitte, a very deadly combination by way of speed. They're just looking to get on the point.
Yeah, speeding right onto the point. Speaking of tank busters, you got a hack from Matzi. You got Presenter, that's a Reaper, and you got Zaps on the Brigitte, but it's not stopping the sheer force of Joy Boy and friends. Taking point A looks very easy, and they're gonna have a humongous time bank going into point B.
Regardless, at the end of the day, right? You can try to run all these wonky compositions. You can run Lucio and Brigitte, but it's just not enough heals. There's actually no burst healing potential possibly in between those two supports to ever so deal with the massive amount of damage that 3 tanks of D.Va, Reinhardt, and Zarya could possibly do into the front line. We saw Lex dive in, and we saw Lex go right back to the spawn room. It's just very hard to deal with. But Lex is coming out here on the Wrecking Ball with the snowball potential coming out here very early on.
Nice toss-up, and you got the rock and smash him, I guess, with Matzi on this Doom Fist. And I think those are the main swaps that STK are trying out on point B, and it's working out fantastically. Press enter, taking care of Joy Boy and also the Ana player. Exto will have to reset. Panda, we've got tons of time. We got 7 minutes.
7 minutes, quite literally, after that point capture came through so quickly. But you can take a look at the composition, and that is coming out from STK. It's almost a tip of your hat to the South Korean Overwatch World Cup team. Main tank on the Wrecking Ball is about to have those mines readily and available to shut down any walkway that the attacking team of Exto tries to walk through. But a shield bash on a Joy Boy is a good start as well.
And he's going to probably lay these mines in the middle of the point right there, right in the entryway of Exto, where just relying on Joy Boy to just knock them down. Graviton thrown from STK, self-destruct to pair it with it. Exto in the upper hand in terms of numbers. Nano boost onto Joy Boy to just go aggro on these guys. STK just trying to run away with their lives. Exto, though, they had to use quite a bit of ultimates to win this fight.
Pile Driver came through on Lex and just knocked a whole bunch of members up, but you can take a look at Joy Boy. He doesn't care. Finds 2 with the Earth Shatter, starts building up that control meter as quick as possible. That's truly what you want. That boop coming through onto Press Enter completely nullified Death Blossom.
Oh, it's only Ben. He's just trying to burn as much time as they can, prevent that objective time from starting to build up. Now Exto will have a Graviton as the STK is coming out of spawn, but STK don't really have any ults. Just their bodies to throw on there, and Panda, this will be a 5-minute plus time bank. STK need to do everything in desperation. They can't even get their mace set up. That was one quick speed run for Exto.
The snowball had been built here on Anubis just when you think that it's very hot because of all the sand. Exto, they find a way to build a snowball and push it all the way through. 5 minutes and 28 seconds. It's a very impressive time bank to have here setting up if there is any extra innings. And this is what we wanted to see from Exto, all thing else included. They are down currently 3 points in this best of 7 finals. So they want to try to take as many maps as possible to set up that reverse sweep potential. And this is where the overconfidence could be coming through for STK, saying that we may have won 3 or we may be up 3 points in this pool already. But when you end up running yourself into the ground with lack of burst healing and go in turn for that burst damage instead, it's just not quite enough. Lex coming out there on the wrecking ball was more than readily dealt with just by way of sheer meat and targeting from the 3-3 composition that Exo threw at them.
And Exo, they've been the team that have been pulling out something other than tanks almost this entire time. You get Genjis, your Pharahs, your Widows. They're the one trying to play maybe in the old meta days. And now bringing out that 303, that's probably exactly what they needed to run through STK and make this a speed run. Now the question is, will STK do like a GOATS comp or a 303, or are they going to be pulling out something else? And they're of course this looks like a meme comp, but STK have been pulling up some weird stuff in this playoff, so I really don't know if this is serious or not.
Yeah, and this could be a good choice, but it could also come back to bite them in the rear. Junkrat is a high risk, high reward here on Temple of Anubis. There are so many walls that you can bounce and that you can shut down with Junkrat, but there's also a multitude of areas that you can just avoid the Junkrat and just kind of burst them down into the damage. We've seen a lot of teams play this composition, in particular laying down a trap, baiting in the dive that most teams like to take here on Watch Point or on Anubis. Wow, I just really want this map to be Gibraltar apparently today, but you can see the sunset's close, right? But you can see it coming out for the attacking team of STK. They're not going to play around with any of that. Going back to Zapso on the Soldier 76 was very fun to watch. Matzi on to the Sombra and press enter now on Lucio. I'm interested to see that.
Yeah, you got Zapso, who's like running at Olympian speed with his own sprint and the Lucio boost, but they set up on this high ground exactly where they want to set up a soldier, and Matzi can just translocate to the other side if needed. Exto, though, they have an Orisa comp, so they'll be dropping down to try and sustain themselves and prevent objective time. It's already one tick. Exto haven't reacted. Finally dropping down. Joyboy will solidify here beside Pliss, but their supports and their DPS and the tanks are all separated, so Exto have to be careful.
Exo having to be quite careful indeed. You can see QVN being very careful, just raining down all the shots that he possibly can. Is probably going to be able to get Ben's mech here on the way out, but he gets the kills that he needs. It's just a giant brawl on the fight here in between Press Enter and Joyboy.
Joyboy, I mean, I guess got Nan up there. This is moving Bastion, I guess, but he still gets dealt with. Not the best use of the Nano Boost, just trying to get some time off the clock. But STK, I mean, they won that pretty fast, maybe not as fast as Exto. They'll still have a very large time bank to go into point B, 6 minutes and 38.
Exo didn't need to use that Nano Boost there. They're going to be lucky that the rest of the team of STK are headed back into spawn to take a full swap onto their composition. Cassette is going to go back over to the Ana. They're just kind of hanging out, wondering what Zapso is about to swap over to. Okay, oh yeah, it's going to be a 1-2-3 composition, just waiting for Matzi to have this EMP. That's a team 5 victory if I've ever called one in my life. But they need to be careful. Joyboy has the supercharger, and when you're facing into a Junkrat and a Brigitte, that is a lot of damage that gets amplified coming through those two heroes specifically.
And Nectar's in this corner, just kind of waiting for the, the call that STK is coming through the mid lane, and then he'll be able to launch that Riptire, trying to end the fight before it even starts, actually getting into a way safer position. They know STK is coming in, the Lucio speed boost, Riptire coming in from spawn. Who's it gonna catch? Need to get after these supports, and it lands on two. Matzi and Press Enter out of the fight.
Yeah, and that's going to be the snowball opportunity being set up here for the attacking team. Get absolutely obliterated just by what we were talking. That supercharger came down, Riptire came to blow them all to bits. No armor can save you from that. Matzi, however, will have the EMP walking into this next team fight, Lemon, and that could be a defining factor for STK to take the fight convincingly. Nectar, however, going to be swapping over to the Mei. The hero pick that we haven't seen too long here on Temple of Anubis, but can still be very devastating. When you land on those walls and you separate the enemy team, it's going to be very good to deal with. But Lex still finds the Earth Shatter.
Speaking of very good, what a nice shatter from Lex, and this is starting the ball rolling for STK with that double kill. And you got the anti-nade there, but he's still trucking through, chasing everybody all the way back to spawn. STK starting things up. They're at a 5-minute time bank. It's really not that different from Exto, so Will Exo come back and try and contest it? It looks like the answer is no. Panda, very similar time banks. We're going into extra innings.
Very similar indeed. Going into extra innings, we are Lemon, but it's going to be Exo that's setting up on their defense the second time. This is my favorite part of of any assault map rather, is that you literally can learn to what the team does on their attack phase and throw it right back at them, especially when you have to make them attack once again. So as Exo is setting up their defense one more time, I wonder if they're going to take any swaps to their composition, maybe a different position. It looks like a don't fix what ain't broke kind of type situation for these lads over on the red. But for the side of StK, how are they going to go ahead and attack this differently? Are they just going to try to snowball their way onto the point, try to take the high ground? What are these two teams learning from each other?
Exo look like they're trying out the same thing they did last time, the Junkrat and the Widowmaker. Of course, the Symmetra just to get them to the high ground, I imagine. And StK coming out with, looks like the Sombra again, and the, I guess, 3-2-1-3, I apologize. And doesn't look like they're changing anything up. I think both were successful on their attacks using these compositions, so probably obvious they're using it again.
Yeah, the 2-1-3 is very effective, especially for an attack on assault maps like Anubis, because when you land a very good key hack from the Sombra player that will be Matzi here in a moment's being, is that it just allows the rest of the team to just swallow them up, whether it be on the high ground. Ben can be up there for some quick burst damage with the micro missiles of Diva. If they're on the ground, so help them, because they will be met by a biotic grenade from Cassette. Zapsa will be there for a shield bash, and Lex with the cleave damage of the Reinhardt is very devastating. He's gonna fall low, fall himself into a trap, almost goes down, but the heals are there from Cassette.
Oh, I remember last time Zapso actually was on the soldiers, because I made the comment about the Olympian, so that's, of course, I remember it because of memes. But StK will have the Brigida instead, and this is probably that once Exto drop down, they can get the stuns, they can try and put more damage in, and a lot more area of healing once the fight gets really tight onto point A. Oh, Lex, I don't know about that pin. He somehow survives it. Meanwhile, QVN's picking off the backline, taking care of Cassette. That's a lot of healing gone. Make that 2 healers gone. QVN cannot be stopped.
And QVN just absolutely coming to life here for the defending team. Exo need this heroic play to come out from somebody, and I'm glad to see that QVN's able to hold up his side of the bargain for 2 maps now, back and forth between Gibraltar. He showed a very good showcasing, and now on Anubis as well. Will have an infrared sight for his worth. Nectar as well with a Riptire, so this could be a nice defensive hold, setting up for minutes to come here as Pills gets back into the mech. You see the attacking team, though, StK, not nearing any ultimates besides the rally. It's not really much to go off of if QVN is just sitting there sniping your backline.
Riptire coming up, and not really anyone can say anything about it. Actually, Zapso survives it. I think he had the shield up, but Nectar disappointed with that. Exto will try and stop this point from being captured from StK, who are now starting up the rally, starting to bash through. Oh, Lex only getting plus with that, but he manages to get the D-Max, so this is just the start of something good for StK, as they manage to start gaining 1 tick, and Exto trying to drop down, but Joy Boy goes down. Only QVN and Nectar remain, and they don't want to get staggered too much, because this could be a snowball situation for StK.
Yeah, and once you can't sustain yourself on the point like that and the Widowmaker doesn't find as many picks, the tanks just kind of look at each other and be like, well, reset. We still have a second point to hold anyway, and that's what we're going to end up seeing. Joy Boy this time, though. It's going to come out onto the Winston, setting up for a dive defense. QVN taking the swap over to McCree is a little bit late. He's not going to be able to get properly set up, but he's going to be able to land a flashbang momentarily.
And there's Mati landing that EMP right in the middle of it. Sound there to keep StK. This is a big early fight investment, but they got the team wipe that they needed. Now Exto using that self-destruct. It does manage to get Matzi. This is the start of a defense here for Exto, and a huge triple Riptire. Are you kidding me? Exto turning around, making a miracle happen, and they will hold here.
Gonna be able to hold here by a miracle tire coming out from Nectar. Will pay for it with his life, but it doesn't even matter because they know that they got the self-destruct out of Ben and many other ultimates to come around. They only gave up darn near 50% control meter. 1 tick was given, sure, but now you can see Exo, they're going to be able to set up around their own series of ultimates here momentarily. The nano boost from Thunder Kitty can definitely help Joy Boy find a primal rage here in the matter of seconds. A rally from Zalbao should be nearing as well, but they need to keep Thunder Kitty alive. The more that this healing can come out, coming from the Ana player of Exto, the better off that the dive defense is going to be.
Well, Lex is going to be setting up this shatter coming in. He's just looking for, well, as many people as he can shatter, but Exto is all onto the high ground, and Lex is getting stunned. He is actually taken care of by Zhao Bao. He won't be able to use that. And I mean, this is not a winnable fight for StK, especially when they lost their Ana player, but you can see the 3 remaining players of StK doing some work. and they've actually narrowed it down to only 2 defending members from Exsto remaining. So StK have gotten almost just a sliver. Okay, there's the second tick. Exto now need to get onto the point. Joyboy receives the nano boost. Now the Riptire from Nectar coming through the side and picks up a double kill. This guy is a game changer for the defense, but not over yet. StK starting to retreat. They do walk away with 2 ticks, 91%. It was so close, Panda.
This has to be so frustrating to deal with, especially if you're StK, because you know you want to finish here with Time Bank, especially with how snowbally of an attack that Exto came out with on their previous run to set up that 5 minutes and darn near 30 seconds on their Time Bank themselves. So finishing with time, there's no other option here for StK. They need to get in here and they need to get in quickly. Lex, understanding that on the Winston now, will probably receive a nano boost for his worth just to find more spacing in the backline so Ben can go with a self-destruct and go for the heroics. They only need one more tick.
QVN lands the EMP right in the middle of StK's push. It gets everybody. The follow-up from Exto is there, taking out the main healer, but StK have a few more to spare, but they've been completely pushed back. Last 45 seconds, StK, quick reset. They do not want to waste time in a unwinnable fight.
And winning this fight was definitely more than necessary here for Exto. Off of one ultimate that was the EMP, QVN really showcasing why this hero is so strong right now. And as the attacking team of StK is just trying to march their way back onto the point, they need speed. They just need to get there. A time bank is definitely out of the favor here.
How many is Nectar gonna get this time? Oh my god, I jinxed it. It's absolutely 0. But Exto will be on the defense, so it's a 1-to-1 trade. It's actually equal trades. StK still going in. Last 9 seconds. They cannot afford any mistakes. Ben has to use the self-destruct, and it's gotta be big. Exto just using that nano boost. They're trying to keep themselves sustained. It's a 3 versus 3, but Exto spawns so close. They're starting to reinforce. Lex is popping off as the Winston, but Xiaobao is there to be taking care of the pinch from QVN, also from the side. It's fantastic. Exto looking to hold this defense right here. StK trickling in desperation. It's an overtime. Everybody went ultimates instead except Motzi. This will keep Kazet up on this Doomfist for now, but Exto have pushed them off for now, and StK failed to finish Anubis with the 6 minutes that they had to work with.
Yeah, and with that being said as well, you saw this ridiculous composition come out there towards the end of StK. They were trying to throw a quad support style. We had an Ana, a Zenyatta, a Lucio from Press Enter, and Zapso on the Brigitte. That was absolutely insanity. I mean, at the end of the day, sure, it might work there in a stall tactic, but when you're attacking just like that, really there's a multitude of other speedy targets that you could take. Set coming back on the Doomfist was for one, but Thunder Kitty coming back there on his own Doomfist was really making a showcasing there. They never fully got dislodged. Exo gave up 2 ticks onto point B, but not by fighting hard to sustain themselves. So now the win condition is set. The reverse sweep can definitely be set in motion here, Lemon. And so as it goes, they're looking for this first point to be captured very quickly like they did last time. They started off their past point B attack with darn near 7 minutes, and now they're going to be looking to start off this extra innings phase with 5 minutes and 30.
5 minutes and 30, but you have to get 91.4% on point B. It's pretty much finishing point B, except if you finish, you win. You don't have to go, you don't have to pass go like 3 times. There's no triple innings, 10th inning. It's Exto. This is their chance to now start a comeback in the series. If not, StK will win 4-0. Exto coming out the gates with a 3-0-3 with Ana.
Seems to be the name of the game too. I'll always end up resorting back to that when there's one Ana on the board for one team and the other team isn't running it. It's going to be Exto coming out here for their attack. Biotic Grenade could be huge to set up QVN for the burst potential of healing and the chronic amount of damage that can soon to follow, and it's going to go straight onto Lex.
Oh, well, Exo trying to start something here. They've solidified themselves using the Reinhardt. Joyboy will be able to just hammer away anybody who gets even close, so Ben is going to be on the unlucky part of that hammer. And StK will not be able to hold a defense. Press center. Nice Deadeye gets the DMEC onto Pliz, but not much else. StK now have to kind of give this one up or go ahead and die, or else Press Enter and Kazet are going to get heavy staggered for point B.
Heavy staggered, they just might as well be. Cassette's just falling down here ever so gracefully. They're going to be able to get a respawn here to come through. So now is the snowball, as I'm having immediate flashbacks to their previous attack. Exo just marching down underneath the speed boost. They're going to have an armor rally here in a moment, a second, and Cassette is just coming out of spawn.
5 minutes, you got a rally, a shatter, and you've taken care of Lex. This is huge for Exsto. 30% off the grab. They have so many tools in the later parts of this fight to win. Starting off with the kills onto the tanks, but Exto lost Zhao Bao, so that's a ton of healing gone. They only have a Brigitte and a Lucio to work with. So Thunder Kitty drops that sound barrier for the sustainability. You've taken out the supports of STK, and self-destruct starts to clear the point. The grab traps everybody. Nectar's huge right now. Exto have team killed STK. They start to build that objective. A few more percent and they will win Anubis, and there it is. Exto starting the comeback.
Starting the comeback, and they're finally going to get a map score victory here coming through against STK, showing that these giant Goliaths show weaknesses in their armor. Nectar really obliterating all of that armor. Indeed, with this Junkrat, a real good spectacle to showcasing. We know what it is. It's a good 3K of that Riptire. It really came to life for the defense. Exto Gaming setting themselves up wonderfully to not allow STK to get that last and final tick there. Sure, he died to the bomb at the end of the day, but he already did all the damage that's needed.
Remember when I jinxed? I was like, how big's this tire going to be? Because he got triple, he got doubles, and then the one time I shouted him out, he got 0. But speaking of, non-zeros, I want to bring up back our hero host of the day, Rapture, staying up with us. This is turning out to be quite a series.
Yeah, I appreciate I'm not a 0 in your eyes, which I'm just going to start off with that. But yeah,
Zero to
I
hero?
I thought this was a Herculean effort here, certainly by Exto Gaming. Coming out more alive than we've seen from them the entire set on Temple of Anubis. Literally the revert of a potential start of a reverse sweep here. Panda, what was it from Exto Gaming? I feel like a lot of Somber play was huge. QVN, Nectar with these Junkrat Rip Tires. What stood out to you out of all those things?
It was probably QVN's Sombra there. I mean, sure, the Junkrat does most of the damage. He gets a lot of those final blows there at the end of the day, but it's not by way of hacking the proper enemies, and it's not without absolutely dismantling the enemy team. I believe there was a 5-man EMP at the end. Big place.
And Lemon, is there a player for you that we got to watch?
Oh, Nectar. Oh my God. Like, besides me jinxing him, his tires are hitting. We're going actually to King's Row, and we might actually see this.
Yeah, we're going to King's Row, our next map. It's still not over, Exo Games, so there's a lot of work to do. STK trying to hold them back. Let's see what they can do on King's Row.
All right, we are here on to King's Row. Keep in mind, this is STK's choice of map. And Panda, are we surprised? A lot of 303 from them. This might be the map that they have an advantage at.
It might be just that fact, Lemon. I mean, when it comes down to 3-3 compositions, Anubis, Point B isn't exactly their strong suit. Watchpoint Gibraltar, not so much either, but it was definitely made infamous on these hybrid maps in particular, whether it was Eichenwald, Hollywood, or especially here on King's Row. You can just bulldoze your way through the streets of King's Row and run over your enemies, not even giving a glimpse of light to the high ground and just playing around the payload. The payload itself, never forget, ladies and gentlemen, it actually gives you passive healing over time. So when you add in a Biotic Grenade, you add in the Inspire that Brigitte presents you as well. Very good outing from a 3-3 composition from both teams, as it looks like they're both going to be hovering over here. Mirror comps, in fact, but the only difference it seems to be is a Lucio versus a Zenyatta.
And Exto starting on attack as usual. And, we saw them. They were the ones that brought out the different heroes, the Fairs, the Widows, etc. I already spoke about it. Now it seems they had a way better speed run, let's say, with the 303, which is seeming like they're coming out with again an STK, matching them on that. The difference, like you said, the Zenyatta versus the Lucio.
Yeah, the Lucio coming out here for the attacking team is more than necessary, and the Zenyatta needs to be pushing the Reinhardt into the team fight very effectively. Both team bubbles going down very, very quickly, and Lex is going to get purpled, and Anti-Gray, he's going to get absolutely run over.
Yeah, this Exto just actually ran over STK with that Lucio speed boost. This tank comp comes in like a train, and they got the point within the first fight. STK not really putting much of a fight, actually.
Can't really do all too much. Unfortunately, that Biotic Grenade was absolutely definitive coming through from Zhao Bao. Able to shut down the healing that was going over to the side of Lex, and it was just a stampede right over top of it. The 3-3 composition coming out from the attacking team is just very oppressive right now.
Speaking of oppressive, they're really pushing STK back all the way at the end of point B and trying to build up those ultimates. Have to be careful of overextending, but they're playing very smart. Exto now starting to push back towards street phase, and STK working towards that grab.
working towards that grab on the defensive team here. They need to be looking for something huge inside of it. There's damage that could be coming through. You could see press enter at a decent amount of charge. He's going to be able to find some follow-up, but they need Lex to get shut down that shield of Joy Boy, who's going to be hanging around the corner, be looking for an Earth Shatter here momentarily. Oh, that's absolutely huge.
Perfect stun, and this gets everybody. Exsto running through StK, and the anti-heal does not even stop them. What a great showing.
Great showing indeed. Good team play and coordination coming through. And this is what we expected from Exsto too, right? Like we saw the rally being built up, but it was Joy Boy's Earth Shatter that needed to be the defining ultimate to come through it. That shield bash from QVN was absolutely huge, and it's almost a point for free just by good team coordination. One Earth Shatter to win the team fight and to go into point C. That's the team fight. We take those.
There's 2 grabs, and we haven't seen it quite yet. Exto have been winning without the use of these huge ultimates, just using the rally, and actually there is the grab, this time from StK to defense as they run through. They try to follow up on it. They have to use a self-destruct, but Ben would have liked to place it maybe with the Graviton. But StK do hold this defense at the start of point C.
StK come back with a pit of rage, just throwing everything at the Kitchen Sink that they have built up thus far. Lex is about to have that Earth Shatter that he has been aggressively building up here, and speaking of that aggression, will go down to his counterpart Joy Boy, finding the Reinhardt, and with no mercy on the board, you're gonna not be able to get that resurrection coming through. The nano boost, however, on a Joy Boy, he's just trying to claim any space and cleave into his enemies.
That's ambitious, Nano. Maybe could have used it a bit later. They only used it to clear out Zapso, but Transcendence from StK starts to fortify the defense from StK, pushing up forward now, looking for the Graviton from Press Enter, taking out Nectar. Well, you don't have to worry about their Graviton, and Press Enter, so high energy, will win out this fight without even needing that ultimate.
Without needing any other definitive ultimates. That is absolutely huge, and it's just in the previous, the shoe is now effectively on the other foot here, and StK are finding themselves with the proverbial ult bank to tap into at a moment's notice. Zapso should be pulling out this rally momentarily for his team. Press Enter's gonna be looking for a grab.
2 grabs, and it's actually the defense that start theirs out, but they use the sound barrier. Does this keep them sustained? And actually a counter grab right in the middle of that, but the anti-nade was huge, and this allows Exto to win this fight. Bit of a couple picks actually from StK's tanks who are in the backline of Exto, so this actually turned around onto Exto, and StK won.
Exto has been putting on quite a fight here, but they're down to 4 minutes and 15 seconds on the point C. It was a rock and snowball walking all down the streets of Kings Row for this team. Now they're struggling to find an answer. Nectar going to take swaps back, left, and right, back onto the Zarya this time round. A rally's coming out from QVN to slip that armor underneath the shields, but the Earth Shatter coming through finds 4.
3 or 4, I don't know. StK rolling through this defense. Finally, we've seen some signs of life out of them, because it's been Exto just rolling through Kings Row, uncontested, looking to finish point C. They got around 3 minutes and 45. StK has a grab, a Transcendence coming up.
Lex has been very over-aggressive here. Typically, when you Earth Shatter the enemy team, you normally let your team do the follow-up unless the enemy is right in front of your face, but he just charges into him. He doesn't even care, and it's really paying off here because Zapso able to come back out here on the Soldier 76. Easy cleanup.
That shatter, though, from Lex, he just cleared the entire backline of Exto. Now the payload is such in a tough position. Still lots of time for Exto to work on, and they'll be having a grab for the next one.
Having the next Graviton Surge could be a defining moment for either of these teams here. Press Enter is not going to be able to have one momentarily, but both tank ultimates coming in for the attacking team here, Lemon, could spell the end for StK's defense. Zapso will be having this tactical visor. We've seen the nano visor here in the past, but the nano boost is actually going to go over to Lex, help him out with this over aggression.
Oh, tac visor from Zapso, but Nectar waiting for that Graviton, but he gets nailed from a shatter. Joy Boy, everybody's so weak into the front line of Exto, and the self-destruct from Ben will spell the defeat of Exto on this attack. Pana, it's been fight after fight after fight. Exto have the ultimates, but it's just not working out.
About 2 minutes since we last did a time check here for the side of Exto to make their way into the final capture point of Kings Row. Press Enter will have a Graviton Surge here momentarily, just using those right clicks to get back to his team as quick as possible, just trying to build as much ult charge as possible. Nectar will have his own Graviton Surge. He's getting aggressive. He's looking for it.
And it's got all the tanks in. That stun takes care of Lex. Need to get rid of Press Enter. He manages to get that grab off at the last minute. Sound Barrier from Thunder Kitty will keep them all topped up, along with the Moira healing. They They take care of Ben. Now Exto can push on through, take care, and stagger out the backline. Matsi, though, has the Transcendence. This will be important to keep himself and the backline unstaggered for the upcoming fight. There it is. This will allow the backline to now solidify onto the payload, but there's not really much backup damage-wise from StK, so that Transcendence, all it did was really burn time.
StK are finding themselves back against the wall. The nano boost, however, against Lex, who's right up against the wall. He thought he was a main tank. Well, he's swapping over to a member of Overwatch that can configure into a tank. Cassette with that biotic grenade, it takes Zhaobao out and out of the fight. Now we see that Pinnacle 1v1 in a support matchup there. Ana versus Moira. That biotic grenade can be absolutely devastating, but Zhaobao will be able to walk in here with the Coalescence. We might as well be in a last team fight scenario. With the sleep dart over to Nectar, that's going to stall the process.
And he goes right back to the Reinhardt. Self-destruct right towards the back. Lex gets shattered right in the middle of it, so it takes care of press enter. But Zapso, meanwhile, into the backline somehow, using that tag visor. He was dealt with, but Exto really wounded here. They have 5 members, so they're gonna keep trying to trek on through to the payload. We're down to the last minute. It's a do or die. Working on Nectar's grabs, but a shatter from Lex takes care of the tanks, and this is not gonna be a situation that Exto can use that grab in.
Can't use it anytime soon. So now they truly find themselves in this last team fight, Lemon, and they have only a few ultimates to play around. Zhaobao will definitely get another Coalescence walking in here, but we find ourselves again. Nectar with the Graviton Surge needs to be the playmaker for his team, needs to set up Joyboy to get the cleave damage to come through. He's their only main source of damage inside of Graviton Surge at the moment's time.
Well, Nectar trying to look for the grab, but he actually throws it, catches Lex. Oh god, what is going on? 2 grabs on the field actually, but it's StK who get the upper hand with the self-destruct. You can see Exto, they can't give this up. 6 seconds left, have to use the Coalescence, have to keep Pliss into mech, but it's not gonna be enough. StK holding the defense of a lifetime. They've given up 75% of King's Row. Then you go on to Point C, and they hold this like a fortress. Exto have nothing left, and now they'll have to hope they can hold a really good defense if they want to stay alive in this series.
Correct me if I'm wrong here. This is StK's match to win. If they capture all 3 points effectively on King's Row, they'll be able to march on to the championship and into trials with a bigger smile on their face. That was a really good defense coming out here. And I got to say, again, Zapso coming out here on to the Soldier 76, really making a strong showcasing on how good this pulse rifle in the hands of Zapso can be. Cassette has always been playing right next to him by setting up the nano boosts. It's been absolutely amazing to watch.
Well, Exto, I mean, we believe in the defense. They've done it on Anubis, and maybe this will happen here again. And this was StK's map choice. Are we surprised they're doing so well? Well, it wasn't so hot for Point A and Point B, but man, did it work out for Point C.
Point C itself is one of the more harder points to find yourself getting staggered and stalled into, especially as the attacking team. When you cycle through a series of ultimates, you almost want to create it like it's an assault map and build up a bank of ultimates. You don't want just one to define the last and final team fight. You almost want 2, if not 3. You know the enemy team's going to be able to come out here and they're going to be able to try to stall as many tactics as they want, whether it be a wrecking ball or a multitude of heroes in the Overwatch community. But that's why you need 2, maybe 3 ultimates coming out from all of your tanks, whether it was going to be Joyboy, Nectar, or Pliz. It was very effective coming out from StK to deal with them upon entry.
We'll see what kind of compositions these guys are going to come out with. And Exto, I mean, they were really relying on the 303 for a long time, and now they're going back to their tried and true. The Nectar on the Riptire, will have the Riptire as the Junkrat, and KVN on the Widowmaker. We saw this on Anubis, worked quite well, even a bit of Gibraltar. And StK, still Zapso on the Soldier, which is definitely not a popular pick in this meta, but he's made it work.
It's not a popular pick in this meta, but it's a popular pick in my heart, and I know that means the world to you, Zapso, so I appreciate it. So at the end of the day, it's going to be that easy cleanup behind the shield, and Set with the Ana sticking right next to the Soldier 76 for the extra protection could be devastating, but when you're going up tit for tat against the Widowmaker, I think a sniper rifle versus an assault rifle, one definitely outranges the other.
QVN, we know he hits those shots, and you gotta hope that Lex keeps his shield up. You can already see he's playing a little bit different. Gonna miss that hopperoo, and they're gonna be going down the basement side, up the stairs. And Exto holding this defense behind the Orisa barrier, just waiting. And our StK, they lost Matsi early, but they're still going in.
They lost Matzi early, but you can see that there's no hyper aggression coming through from either team, Lemon. When you see that the enemy team is holding on the lower, or the lower part of apartments here, you don't typically want to walk into them, especially when Nectar's on that Junkrat. It's a lot of free damage and a lot of ult charge going over to his way. He's already built up a Riptire.
Oh, Riptire coming in to take care of Exto. StK have started to put their foot onto the point, getting half a tick. Exto has to drop down. It's a 2-2 trade. Press enter, taking care of at least one of the tanks of the defense. Starting to get that one tick. They're not sure if they want to disengage or not. They're a little bit wounded. They want to get healed up. Exto and have put their foot down. They have Joy Boy shield up and Nectar taking care of Ben. Looks like X2 have the upper hand here.
Press enter is at 100 charge energy, constantly just holding down the W key right into the Orisa barrier, just no holds barred, getting all of the burst damage from the right clicks plus the melee, understanding how much damage this hero can do. When you're above 65% energy, you are definitely on DPS level of damage, if not more, and Press enter understands that. About to have a Graviton Surge for his worth. QVN here on the Brigitte now, with Zhaobao swapping over to the Lucio, a true 1-2-3 composition, so they're keeping Nectar on the sole DPS. For Exto on their defense, it's going to be a Junkrat. So if dealt effectively and the sight lines get elongated, Zapso with this tactical visor can be very devastating to deal with for Exto.
Press Center is about to get that grab. He's been high energy, a huge impact for StK getting that point, and Exto having QVN now into the Brigida, but get hit with a bit of a shatter, but this opens up for Zapso's Typhra, so he's going right in, a little bit ambitious. He still gets the 2K thanks to the Zarya bubble that kept him alive.
That Zarya bubble was absolutely manic and was so well placed. Zapso showing us his worth. Tactical visor to clean up the team fight. Once you have a high charge Zarya like Press enter, marching forward into a Diva mech, you cannot defense matrix that laser beam. It is just so devastating to deal with. Convincing push thus far, and it seems that the defending team of Exo, they're not even going to be able to get there in time just to stop the payload before it gets on the capture point.
Press enter has the grab. He launches it through, self-destruct from Ben through the side. And only Lex drops from that, not getting the finishing blows that they needed. StK still trucking through. Lex going ham thanks to the nano boost, and Exto on the back foot. They just want to burn time as much as they can, install it. But point B is earned for StK. 5 minutes, they have to finish King's Row, and they will be crowned our Australian Open Division champs.
Quite literally make it there in the last possible moment. The arrow was cleared and colored in there blue on the capture point bar, the top part of your screen. But take a look at this. Might as well be a last team fight scenario being set up here for the attacking team. If they're able to make this Earth Shatter count, it gets blocked.
Oh! And speaking of block, they just bumped into each other a little bit. Self-destruct from Exto builds a little bit of room and catches Lex off guard. So Exto winning that fight before really it got any momentum.
Any momentum is definitely what both these teams are looking for. Whether it's going to be a defensive momentum push here for Nectar and QVN to march forward and land a big Graviton Surge and continue this defense setting up wonderfully, or for the offensive team, they need to go forward with Matzi's Transcendence instead of Press Enter, who's about to have his own Graviton Surge, but now they're all caught, and Matzi right there to nullify the damage inside the Graviton from Nectar.
Huge Transcendence, and you got the Nano Boost onto Lex. It traps all of Exto here with the Graviton. Now you got the follow through from Zapso's Tactical Visor. He's going in. Exto have to retreat, but they can't give up too much space. The yellow box of victory is right around the corner. QVN on this Brigida doing work, and they actually managed to push back StK.
The armor coming through from QVN on the previous rally was just too much to be dealt with, and then once they were able to find their way around the Horseshoe Bend next to the Mega Pack, they were unable to find any damage from Zapso's Tactical Visor. So now you can see their heads against their hands, and they're trying to find answers into this composition that Exto is just throwing at them. Nectar is at such high energy, he's actually about to have another Graviton Surge here, Lemon.
Oh my god, next, Nectar is going to be carrying. This grab needs to be huge. Look how grouped up they are, just waiting for the moment to get them out of position. There's the grab towards the back. The Transcendence, though, keeps everybody from StK topped up, and you got the response from Zapso on this soldier. Already 2 kills down. Exto's self-destruct has to be big, but it's blocked from Lex. StK now just getting the finishing blows onto Exto, but Joy Boy manages to get Presenter before he gets that grab, and now a huge shadow response from the defense. This is just back and forth, Panda. I can't handle it.
But dealing with Joy Boy right there in the final moments could be the one answer that they need. It is not, in fact, because Thunder Kitty with the Biotic Grenade looking to heal the main tank actually claims the other tank of Lex. A lot of time has been shaving here, Lemon, as we're walking out for STK's next attempt of attacking this point. They're actually going to be holding on. Press enter has a Graviton Surge. Nectar is off his own Zarya. Will have a Pulse Bomb here momentarily. A late swap. He's actually in spawn, so the Zarya's not even on the front line here to help out Joyboy. No team bubble
Oh,
is going to
God.
be devastating.
Only 2 trapped into the Graviton, but Exto can't afford to lose anybody here, and it's actually a 1-to-1 trade. Both Brigida's down. Shattered, just been used from Lex, but he's about to drop. He's actually like 1 HP. STK just trying to fortify onto this payload. Ben self-destruct, really starting the momentum. They only have a few meters to go. Can Exto even get back to the payload? They're staggered off, and there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. STK, your Australian Open Division champions.
Yeah, with almost convincing fashion there, but I gotta say, Exo, they really pushed the side of STK to the wall, and where those opening maps came through early on, Lemon, I thought this was going to be a convincing 4-0, but coming off of Anubis, it just seems that Exo just reached a new pinnacle, a new life, and really just gained the energy from all the viewers here. They were just able to hold them strong. Exo there, really giving a run for their money, and as both these teams are running into trials here, I really look forward to seeing them meet each other again.
Oh, yes. And this was the second time that STK's beat Exto, even the regular season and also in playoffs. Exto, such, I mean, a talented group of individuals. They deserve that trial spot. They deserve to be into the grand finals. They made such an amazing losers bracket run to get themselves here. And of course, congratulations to STK making that flawless winners bracket run. But let's bring back our host, Rapture. This was quite a series. What a finish on King's Row.
Yeah, absolutely. Kings Row, it really went down to the wire after we saw, STK faltering a bit on Anubis. They brought it back on Kings Row again, another hotly contested map, and it made for a really exciting series. 4-1. Could have gone more than the difference. Honestly, I thought we were gonna get the reverse sweep, so I love
It
that it
started.
seemed. Yeah, exactly. I love it. Like, all right, if we're gonna go the distance, let's do it. Almost reverse sweep territory though. I got to throw to you guys one more time. Any closing thoughts on this set?
Start with you, Panda.
Uh, any closing moments? I gotta say, I called the tank play that needed to come through, not only for Joyboy on the side for Exto, but when SDK came out and they came to play, Lex really showcased how aggressive Reinhardt's can keep himself alive. We saw it earlier in North American contenders, and it came out here all the way in the grand finals of Australia Open Division as well. I
Mhm.
think Lex is definitely a very strong candidate here in the Australian region, but just needs to be careful. Biotic grenades, definitely got to watch out for them.
He's had a couple charges that were a little bit ambitious. I really want to shout out Joy Boy and on a different role. Yes, he's main tank, but his Winston, one of the best Winstons I've seen in Australia. He really impressed me. And also shout out to Nectar for his flexibility on that DPS role, bringing out the fair, bringing out everything that they need, including the Zarya.
Yeah, they're right there. There was key players that kept both of these teams in the game, especially against SDK, a team that was firing all cylinders throughout the entirety of that set. And it's great because we have players from this region that not only get to see in contenders trials, but maybe we'll see them even further than that. There's a lot of talent in this region. That's one of the beauties of open division, a division that there's a lot of that homegrown talent from all these regions that could get farther than they ever expected. But that's it for us here. For myself, Rapture, Lemon, Panda on
Pandon.
Panda,
It's late.
Pandan,
It's
the
late.
evolved version of Panda. And at this point, we have ascended at this point. And of course, to Bradley on production and Pimp and Moosh helping us out, coordinating whatnot. Australian Open Division Season 3 2018 playoffs is wrapped up, but the top 4 teams are going to contenders trial, so it's not over for them just yet. And it's not over for us just yet on this weekend. It's still Sunday, which means we have North American Open Division starting up at 2 p.m. EST, which is about 8 hours from now. So keep
Now
on
wake
the
up early.
yeah, exactly. Get your sleep, get a little nap, get back in here for some more Overwatch. It never ends here at broadcast.gg. But for now, thank you all for tuning in. We got to catch some Z's and get ready for the next matches. Thanks to these teams for putting on absolutely amazing shows. Our wonderful casters here, Lemon and Panda, for putting it on for us and calling the matches. But we got to sign off. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you this afternoon for NA Open Division.
Bye.